Have you really chosen the right month to leave the railroad? Welcome everyone to another edition of the Highball Advisors Railroad Retirement Whiteboard. My name is John McNamara, Highball Advisors, and today we're going to talk about choosing the right date for your leaving the railroad, right? The right retirement date. And maybe some people don't really actually have the right date. So I'm going to walk through this and see if this might turn a light on in your head. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about deemed service months, right? So I always talk about 60 and 30, and that's kind of the jargon, you know, being 60 years old and 30 years of service, right? But what really it is, it's 360 months. They call service months. That makes up your 30 years, right? So they're called deemed service months, right? So you have 360 of those, and then you have your 30 years, right? Full retirement age. So the service months are used to calculate your Tier 2 benefit, part of your annuity, right? And every year they set the maximum amount of Tier 2 that you can get taxed based off your salary, right? So it's 4.9% of your income, all right, up to a maximum of $106,200 for this year, 2021, all right? And what does that really comes down to is $8,850 of income a month is what can be taxed at the 4.9%, right? 4.9% is your Tier 2 tax. So without getting too confusing, let's work through an example, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, choosing that right month. Right, so I had an example. So let's say you had a career railroader. It's going to retire at the end of the year. We'll say that, and at the end of the year, we'll have the 30 years, right? So right now, they're at 29, and 29 years beginning of the year. So now, it's the year. So let's say the railroader, right, 30-year railroader, or soon-to-be 30-year railroader, has a W-2 income of $125,000, right? Also has a bonus from the railroad of, we'll say, $25,000. Made some equity, made some RSUs, and they cashed those in for about $35,000. So their annual income's around $185,000, right, for this railroader between the payroll, bonus, and options, right? However, right, you can leave it June. Here's what I'm talking about, right? So let's say this railroader will have 300, and at the end of June we'll have 354 months and still needs 6 more months to get to that 360. But here's what I'm talking about, right? So if you leave at the end of June, half of 125, 62,500. The bonus was in the beginning part of the year, so you're paying tax on that. Right? And then you cashed out those options in February, right? The RSUs, that's income, right? Remember those RSU videos I did? Those are all, you got to all pay railroad retirement on all these sources of income, right? So not only W-2, you got to pay on your bonus and you got to pay on your equity option. So by the end of June, you have $122,500, right? And you say, wow, okay, I've paid that already into the year, right? Remember the Tier 2 maximum is $106,200. You've already met the Tier 2 maximum for the year at the end of June. So now you've got a whole year's worth of service credit months, right? So you can technically leave at June. You've paid out the other 6 months, right? So you have 6 service months. Now what's important there is now you can leave at the end of June, but you cannot collect your railroad retirement yet. Right? You have to let those 6 months of those service months that you got credited for, right, run through. So you'll still be able to collect your railroad retirement in the beginning of the year, but there will be no need to work those final 6 months, right? That's important. You don't need to work those final 6 months because you've already paid into them and you're getting deemed. So a lot of people, what they'll do, a lot of railroaders will say, oh, I'm retiring on this day. It's my 360 months or 30 years. And they might be leaving months on the table there. So you want to look at that and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to leave at this date, but see if you have those deemed service months, because maybe your tier 2 shouldn't be based on, in this case, 360 months, maybe 362 months or 363 months, right? Delay that railroad retirement if you have those deemed service months for an extra 3-4 months, okay? And then that way your tier 2 goes up, right? So the important part, remember about this, is you can't start your annuity until your last deemed months ends, okay? So you have to have that little bridge there for those few months to cover that. But this is a great way if you want to leave the railroad a little bit earlier and still get those service months. It's a good way to do it at the end of your career. So I hope you found this video helpful. Reach out to me. Go through my boarding for railroad retirement process. This is the type of stuff that I'm looking at, right, when we're getting you ready for retirement, right? If you want to leave, we can get you out maybe a little bit earlier sometimes. You got to do the math on all this stuff. So reach out to me for that boarding for railroad retirement process. Schedule that meeting. That'd be great. Share this video with other railroaders, particularly those nearing retirement, right? They might be able to leave a little bit earlier. So, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel as always. Love that. Click on the notification bell, get the latest videos. That's great. And until next time, everyone, please stay safe, stay on track, and take care. So long, everybody.